from the MMA Hour, Ariel Helwani. How are you, Ariel?
Rich, I'm doing great. I didn't think I'd talk to you
Look at this. Yeah, I know. Look, you're back. You're back right away.
Great.
But look, I wanted to talk to you, and obviously many others in our profession wanted to talk to you because it's a rarity that a league, if you want to put it in air quotes for that, removes credentials from a reporter merely for reporting something as fact that they wanted to promote themselves first. And it seems you're caught in a very unique situation. So let me start from scratch with you. What happened on Saturday night, Ariel?
Well, at around, and by the way, before I go into it, I really need to thank you and the rest of the mainstream sports media for shining some light on this, because this isn't the first time that something like this has happened, and I believe the only way that this will change is, is people like you speaking about it. So thank you so much to you and everyone else. Saturday night, I was at the Forum in Inglewood, and first I reported that Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor were close to finalizing their fight at UFC 202. That ended up being right. And this was kind of a weird thing because you're not usually in the media room breaking news like this. I'm usually at home or in a hotel room, etc. Then around 30 minutes later, I broke the news that Brock Lesnar was close to finalizing a deal to fight at UFC 200. This was massive news because everyone thought Brock had retired from MMA and that he was under contract with WWE. A lot of people thought that I was wrong. I started to be told via text that the UFC was very upset that this news was being reported. And around 3 hours later, they actually officially confirmed both pieces of information. So I ended up being right on both fronts. For the record, I'm still batting 1,000 with my breaking news. I'm very proud of that.
Good for you.
Thank you. So right before the main event on Saturday night, I was asked by a PR person to go to the back because Dana White wanted to speak to me. And my relationship with him these days hasn't been great, so I didn't think that anything good would come of that. And I said that I wanted to stay in the media room to watch the main event. Another PR person came very sort of anxiously, if you will, and asked me to go back. And I said that the only way I would go back is if I brought a colleague with me, my videographer. And we went to the back. Dana was standing there. He was visibly upset, and he said, "Get out of here. You're done. Your credentials are gone. You're not welcome here ever again. Lorenzo hates you. Lorenzo Fertitta, the CEO of the UFC. Go cover Bellator." He said a few other things, if I'm being honest, that were not very kind. And I tried to tell him, like, what am I doing that's any different than any other sports reporter out there? In fact, 3 years ago, Dana himself had a bit of a heart-to-heart with me and said, you have to be less sensitive and thin-skinned. And if you're going to report something, don't worry about the repercussions. He himself told me that, and I reminded him of that story. I said, what's wrong with what I did? He said, you're too negative. I said, I was just reporting news. I wasn't saying anything bad about the organization.
Yeah, you're not part of you're not part of the public relations arm of
Exactly.
UFC, Ariel.
But,
you're a journalist.
This whole thing is awkward because I'm being sort of hailed as this martyr for journalism, and I'm not really doing any great investigative journalism here. I'm not getting a Pulitzer for this work. I'm just reporting, no different than when Woj, in my opinion, reports that the Knicks are going to draft Porzingis 10 minutes before the Knicks draft Porzingis. I mean, this is sports in 2016. This is sports reporting. I didn't report about their sale or about some scummy things going on behind the scenes. So that to me is the part when he said I was too negative. I couldn't really wrap my head around that. But, again, for the record, I would not do anything differently. And I hope that cooler heads prevail. I hope that they rethink this. But I do think it's important to let people know that this is happening because it's not the first time that it's happened.
So what else did he say to you? I know you're trying to be high class about it. Can you go and describe in whatever general terms that makes you comfortable what else Dana White said to you as he told you to go cover Bellator?
He kept saying, go cover Bellator. He said, we don't want you here. You're not going to be back here. It was interesting. He said on multiple times that, Lorenzo was the one who got you fired from Fox, and he's the one that made the call to kick you out of here, which I thought was somewhat interesting, although he was, doing the dirty work, so to speak. It was another interesting thing that happened was there was a PR guy standing beside him, and actually more in back of him, and said that he said to me, you could have had the professional courtesy to give us a heads up before reporting this story. And in my mind, I was thinking at that time, like, what are these guys talking about? Do they not realize what journalism is? It's funny because the night before, ESPN actually asked Dana if Brock was coming back at 200, and he told them no. So what would have happened if around 2 hours before their big announcement, I would have gone up to the UFC and asked them, if this was true? I could tell you what would have happened because it's happened before. They would have told me, please don't report that. They would have told me it's not true, and then I would have had this moral dilemma. So why should I even put myself in that position anymore? I decided that that's not something that I want to do. So I had it confirmed by multiple sources. That's what I was taught at Newhouse. Multiple sources confirmed, you're good to go. Nowhere in the rule book does it say you have to go to the organization and ask for their permission. That's not going to happen. And why isn't it going to happen, especially in this sport? Because they'll just flat out lie to your face. Why do I need to go through that? That's just an extra step that will get me nowhere.
Ariel Helwani joining me here in back-to-back shows. It's a rarity here on the Rich Eisen Show, but I'm sure you would have preferred to be talking about the results of UFC 199, which, to be honest with you, Ariel, I am not going to discuss with you because the way that you are being treated by the UFC, they don't deserve this platform for me to give them the credence of discussing a big upset or the ins and the outs of the event when they don't act like a real league when it comes to being covered. And you should be looked at as somebody that aids the process of putting it on a path to cutting through the static in this day and age. So I'm not going to discuss any of that with you. What I want to discuss with you is the future here. What can be done here? I mean, would you even want your credential back, Ariel? Because, I mean, how is this going to change?
I would. I've been thinking about that a lot. I would love to be back. I mean, I really do love this sport. And like I told you on Friday, I mean, I didn't want to be an athlete growing up. I wanted to be you and Stuart Scott and all the great sports reporters out there. I wanted to be on TV talking about sports. And I have a deep passion and love for mixed martial arts. I have a deep passion and love for mixed martial arts journalism. I take the title of being a journalist very seriously, and I want this sport to evolve. Like I told you on Friday, we're still 1920s football. And it's funny, we were talking about how, we'll look back in 20 years and say, like, did this stuff really go on in MMA in 2016? I hope that this now is one of those stories. No one should have to go through this. There are a lot of young journalists that have come up to me, and I'm still just 33, and I've been doing this for around 8 years. But there's a lot of younger guys that have come up to me in the last 24 hours or so, written to me and said, like, you're the reason why we wanted to do this. You made us believe that you can actually make a living being an MMA journalist. If they do this to you for breaking news, what are they going to do to us?
Find something else to cover. That's what you should tell them. I mean, and maybe you should consider doing that too. Or as you say, cooler heads prevail. Have fighters reached out to you themselves?
Yes, that was really cool. A lot of fighters have publicly said things on Twitter. Some big name fighters like John Jones and Daniel Cormier. Some very big name fighters have reached out to me. Some big managers have reached out to me. But if I'm being honest, like, to see you and Rachel Nichols and people of that stature, just write about this is the most important thing, because this can remain in our little MMA bubble, or I believe, even though we may not know each other personally, there's a fraternity amongst, journalists and reporters, and it's always important to have each other's backs. And unfortunately, in MMA, we don't have any kind of association like they do in boxing and baseball and football, and every other major sport, to be honest. And maybe this is the beginning of that. I don't know. But so this is all we have, platforms like this to tell our story, because I can assure you they want this to go away. And I'm not going away. If I go away, they win. I'm not going away. It's going to take a lot more than taking away my credentials to get rid of me.
So in terms of that, you'll be just covering 200 from somewhere else? Is that the sort of thing you'll be doing between now and then as well?
Yeah, I have my show today, and I still work for a great site, and they've been really great in supporting me. Vox Media. I don't know. I have dreamt of spreading my wings a little bit, because we could sit here and talk about last night's NBA Finals. We could talk about the NBA draft coming up. I am well versed in all sports, and I have dreamt of what it would be like to spread my wings and cover other sports.
Maybe this proves it.
maybe this is the time to do it. But you know, I still have a passion for the fight game. It's funny. A Twitter follower actually sent me something that really resonated with me, and I wish I could find it right now because yeah, here it is. He just sent me, "You can't be an angel working in hell. Time to fly," and that really hit me hard. Maybe it is time to fly. I don't know, but like I said, I don't plan on leaving anytime soon. Maybe I just get to do a few other things as well. Who knows?
I hear you, Ariel. So I guess then here's what it comes down to. You got to reach out to Dana White, I'd imagine, even though that might stink, but have somebody do it for you and just have a cooler head prevail. That UFC has to realize that some of the things that they want to announce themselves are going to get out, and don't punish you. Punish the people that are talking to you in that regard if they do want to have some sort of witch hunt. And then
you know, I don't mean to interrupt, but he actually said that as well. He said they believe, both the UFC and Fox believe, that there is a mole, a singular mole, that is feeding me this information, because ever since I was relieved of my duties at Fox in March, I don't have to hold back anymore. I used to have to sit on things, and that put me in a very uncomfortable position. And they think that there's a mole, to the point where people have told me that they have been constantly berating the employees and saying, you know, you need to tell us, Ariel. They have said that Ariel has told them that there is a mole telling me stuff, which is a lie, just to get them to confess. And I told Dana, you need to stop doing this. There is no mole. There's no one that is associated to all these stories that I keep getting. I just have sources. I've been doing this a while. There's no need for a witch hunt. There's no need to attack anyone. I'm just doing what is done in every single other sport. And I see members of the UFC who are sports fan. You know, like when a Schefter reports something, they tweet it, they get excited about it, and I think to myself, what's different from what he's doing than what I'm doing? And yet you get mad at me and others for reporting news before you guys want it out. They live in this sort of, I don't know, this alternate universe where they don't really understand. They want advertising. They don't want journalism. And you know, I don't see how that's possible in this day and age.
Ariel, thanks for calling in. Let's continue the conversation. Okay.
Thank you so much, Rich. Thank you. I can't say that enough. Thank you.
But of course, that's Ariel Helwani.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.